What's up, everybody? Welcome to Podcast Now. I'm Alex, and in this video, I want to talk about why I am getting Warhammer 40k Space Marine 2 eventually. This is a video series I do where I talk about an upcoming game and talk about where I'm kind of at with it, right? What I'm feeling about it. And this has been a weird one for me. I got to be real. I feel like the anticipation has quickly grown, and my literal opinion and the different brackets that I would put, say, a game like this in a video like this, right? Of not getting it and then maybe waiting a long time, like on a deep discount, and then, well, now I'm actually kind of very much interested. This has kind of been the path that I've taken. Now, I have seen this game, obviously in like the presentations and the different shows for years, it feels like, right? It's actually kind of strange that it's officially coming out, and it's coming out, and I also feel like at the same time it's already out. You go online and you just type this game into YouTube, and there are countless YouTubers with hundreds of thousands, if not more, views playing missions, so I don't know, was there like the betas, or I don't know what happened with this game. So many people got to play it early, not complaining, because you know what, ultimately, as time has gone on, it's given somebody like me a chance to really look at this thing and say, like, is this game up my alley, right? Because I didn't know much about it. I still don't think I know a ton about it. I'm also not like a Warhammer fan. I've never played any of these Warhammer games. I didn't play the first Space Marine. I don't know if that's going to get me like lost, because they say the story of Space Marine 2 happens right after the ending of the first one, which you imagine for a sequel, right? So I don't know if there's a little catching up to do, or how well versed I have to be in the Warhammer 40k universe, but this game has always looked good, right? It's just as time has gone on, it's kind of continued to pique my interest. And again, from, well, we'll see about the game, to, okay, well, I'm gonna get it, I just don't know when. Maybe it'll still slip out and I still won't get it. Right now, the point I'm at with this game is I'm very much, I want it. I want this game, and I'm planning on getting it at some point. Will I get this game day one? I'm still unsure, / would probably be leaning towards no. Could just be something in my brain. Like, you could argue, because we're going to talk a little bit about September, right? September is a busy month, and there are a lot of games coming out in September. Now, granted, a couple of things, right? Number one, there's a lot of games that are very different. Nobody's comparing Space Marine to Lollipop Chainsaw. Nobody's comparing it to Astrobot, right? Things like that. It is a very diversified month, but I've already kind of set in stone like plenty of games that I am planning on getting in September. And you could say, well, Alex, put down the casting of Frank Stone and play this game, because this game might be better. And hey, honestly, as time has gone on, I'm not opposed to that. Right? I'm starting to think this game is looking better and better. Again, I think it really it stems from my lack of, history, I guess, right? That's probably the word. My lack of history with Space Marine, my lack of history with Warhammer 40k. But the game does look like a blast. It reminds me, and don't kill me about this, but it reminds me very much of Helldivers, which, I love the first Helldivers. Played a little bit of Helldivers 2. I didn't get to the point in Helldivers 2 where you had like all those viral clips going on of like the very higher level gameplay, the higher level difficulties. I never really got to that point with it, but I like it. I like it quite. I think Helldivers 2 is one of the best games this year. Now, I don't know if that's like blasphemy to compare a game. I don't know. I don't know what the fandom thinks, but watching a bunch of gameplay, as I've done right before I hit record here, it very much reminds me of the spirit, and I don't think there's anything wrong with that, right? Like, it's probably going to be better if you play with other people. It's got it feels like Helldivers kind of like jacked up, right? Because, well, not just in terms of how these characters look, but also, it feels like it's got more in it, and I don't know that for sure. It just feels like it, right? It's got a single player, it's got like the mission-based kind of multiplayer type thing, and then it's got all sorts of these just different modes of player versus player and these kind of like wave-based things. It feels packed. It feels like everything Helldivers is, obviously slightly different, right? And then even more towards it. And it's not a slight even against Helldivers, right? Because you could say, Alex, you don't even know what you're talking about, and I would respect that. But it reminds me of it. And honestly, as time has gone on, that's what's brought me more to this side of wanting it, of liking it. Because like, I do like Helldivers. I like the first one even being top down, second one being like a third person type thing. And you look at Warhammer, you see see the vast amount of enemies. Right? I mean, that's something that they very much stress, right? Hundreds upon hundreds of enemies on screen at once. The game looks visually beautiful. All the different maps and the locations, the enemies themselves. It looks like you can get yourself in quite the pickle, you know, here and there, working with your teammates, having different loadouts, right? Being able to kind of customize the loadout kind of for the mission. Again, having basically just like multiplayer matches of like team deathmatch and capture the flag and, you know, just even kind of basic stuff, but just thrown in, not even necessarily as an afterthought, but kind of just there, right, with this game. So the game really seems like a full package. It is. You look at, and I want to say a thing about me, but first I'll turn it towards like the community. In watching a lot of these videos, when I scroll down to the comments, I like to see what people are saying, right? Especially games and communities that are kind of outside my wheelhouse. Like, is there things people are talking about that I'm kind of missing, right? Like, I like to read that kind of stuff. A lot of these videos, whether it's from PlayStation or whether it's from like YouTubers themselves, whatever it might be, some of the highest liked, you know, comments in their comment section, like the top, are, hey, first time Warhammer fan here, right? Like, this is a game I'm getting. You see that time and time again. So I think that's really, really cool because it's not going to be a surprise. I don't think it should be a surprise to anybody, but definitely not me. Even from myself kind of on the outside looking in, it is not going to surprise me one bit for this game to come out and do unbelievable numbers. Like, I'm talking Helldivers 2 numbers, to be honest with you. I think this game has every kind of thing that it needs to have to be one of these big viral games that just blow up, have hundreds of thousands of people playing on Steam, right, like at one time, blows up on console. It really feels like that game to me. And then it's just, you know, how you support it kind of long term, right? Also, I don't normally throw the publisher into these videos, but Focus Entertainment is the publisher and Saber, right, is the developer. And, you know, Saber's made some really good stuff. They're very big and they have like multiple teams, right? So it's hard to say, like, well, you know, individual teams. But also specifically on the publisher, like, they're one of these almost like AA type publishers that just consistently nail it. It feels like when their name, most of the time, not all the time, but most of the time, if Focus is the publisher of a game, there's normally something kind of special about it that might like go under the radar to other ones. I think of, honestly, the big one that stood out to me originally was Plague Tale. Plague Tale was from Team Asobo and then also, you know, through Focus as the publisher. And it's like you can just kind of tell that they saw something in Plague Tale, Innocence, and then Requiem. And I don't know. I feel that. I don't think Space Marine is going under the radar. Honestly, I feel like everybody's talking about it. I feel like everybody knows about it. They're either getting it or not getting it. It's getting ready for like this incredible launch. So it's not under the radar, but I do kind of put a little stock into, I think they're a really good publisher. I kind of think they're underrated, and obviously they're attached to this game. So I'm looking forward to it. I'm planning on getting it. I just don't know when. September is so packed. October is so packed. It's also a game that's supposed to live long term. They revealed plans for October, I think, through the end of the year is kind of Season 2. There's like Season 3 for 2025. New modes, new maps, new enemies, new difficulty levels. Like, this is a game much in the sense of Helldivers that hopefully is going to be, you know, added to as time goes on. And hopefully, you know, if I jump in October or November or December, right, it's not too much of a difference versus like if I would have jumped in right away. But I do want to get it, and I will say, like, I've come a long way because if you ask me, honestly, if you asked me like 3 months ago, I would have said, not that it never looked good, because it always looked good. It always looked good, but just my interest wasn't there. So if you would have asked me back in June or May, I would have been like, yeah, it looks great, but it's just, I don't know, I'm just not that into it, or I'm not that interested in it. I've changed. I've definitely seen enough where it is a game I want to add to my collection. It's a game that I want to like physically play and see what it's like. I just don't know if I would do it the day it comes out, especially with all the games that are coming out right before it. So let me know what you guys think in the comments. Make sure, as always, you're subscribed to the channel, bell icon turned on, and I hope to see you all on the next one.